Dial M for Murder. I was never a major fan of this one. Too script heavy, too much of a hackneyed play, or too reliant on said play of the same name. One of these murder mystery, or how will the police solve this? We know how it went down, obviously. Affairs, which makes one wonder what exactly is the point to our lives? Pre internet, did we just praise and celebrate dramas for its own sake? Did we just praise escapist entertainment as a justification for existence in a wage slavery market economy? Hackneyed, trite dramas are going to be a thing of the past, a vestige of a world which had no idea how bored it was, of banal values and an obsession with formalism, structure, and narrative scaffolds. A vast majority of acclaimed literature has avoided these trappings for much of the 20th century. Television became the domain of second-rate theatre, and Dial M for Murder is an artifact of a fortunately bygone era. Not because of moral concerns, not because the narratives themselves have no potential or that murder is an undesirable subject for fiction, but because these stories represent rote, predictable, structured high school English trite, no experimentation, no thinking outside the box, just straight bland murder mystery or whatever we call this, fluff, depressingly unimaginative. The people who enjoy these, like the boring 9 to 5, think any kind of artistic experimentation is off the rocker, think meals are the highlight of one's day, are either dully sober or worse, only a consumer of alcohol where drugs are concerned, or are ruthlessly, existentially, insufferably politically centrist. When the Western world was in debt to wider, grander narratives, that is when these banal, scaffolded stories could surface. The archetypal Western, some murder mystery yarn, a period drama about an arranged marriage, or a more contemporary drama about a dependence on some addictive substance. These molds of melodrama needed to disappear. Either tell a story about the actual world we live in, demonstrate a telling of a story so compelling that its potential, cliche, components are either welcomed or otherwise seamless, or just do something on the basis what of want rather than that fucking should impulse. We naturally want to experiment. Want is rooted in love, should in fear. Some justify the should as a cause of moral activity, but you would prefer to want to be moral than to feel moral out of some abstracted obligation, I'm going to assume. These kind of one-note narratives stopped existing in cinema mostly after the 70s. Everything needed some spin, and rightfully so. The more refined authors in literature had understood this for decades. Television drama still suffers from it, somehow claims it is superior to both other mentioned mediums as a result of it. Mass delusion is omnipresent in this doomed species, and cliches now when they exist in cinema are often torn apart online. The point is, these one-note narratives reflect to a one-note worldview, and I suspect modern viewers, people my age, who enjoy the sheer banality of some of this older media, they have rather conservative worldviews in general, and are not to be trusted as far as I'm concerned. Anyone who wishes to live in a pre-60s, ruthlessly conformist suits and ties, institutionalized alcoholism, except for America in the early 20s, repressively dull worldview, and nothing but contrived literary projects to entertain you in your spare time. Most of the cooler 20th century music didn't exist until maybe Bob LPs, but even then, how many cigars and glasses of scotch can you drink? Boring. I mean, I don't understand you people. Please don't depress me if that is somehow possible. And as a result, never recommend I view Dial M for Murder again. Fuck these contrived, hackneyed, scaffolded dramas and everything they stand for. Sometimes I feel genre films will bust, or genre fiction will bust. But there are some magnificently existential dramas which are philosophically dense, but when the non-speculative or non-fantastical examples of genre fiction, historical crime thriller, or social drama are allowed to just run wild and exist without scrutiny, no, that crosses the line. There's too much depression in this unrelenting world. Don't try to argue with me on this. Say many prayers that we aren't alive prior to some point in the 60s. You had no idea how deathly bored you were. Envy the latter half of the 20th century, if you must. The 21st has been a very mixed bag, but for all the problems of now, the pathology of the immediate pre-war or post-war periods, the Second World War meaning, is so banal as to render the 2020s a comparable paradise, regardless of all the slaughter, health struggles, economic instability, or political strife active in the globe currently.